remote work just completely changed the economics of how the housing market works in the Bay Area, because before there was this huge pull of talent to the area that earned a lot, earned very high incomes, and that drove up home prices. And that talent is no longer tethered to the Bay Area anymore. They can go wherever they want and still get very high salaries. So those high home prices have to come down to kind of meet demand where it's at now. And that has been happening since the start of the pandemic.
Are you seeing a difference regionally between how different markets are recovering? And is it tied to remote work, or do you think there's something else going on?
Well, nationally, we're definitely seeing people returning to the cities more so than they were during the pandemic, when there was that fear of being in close proximity with other people. That fear is gone, and people want to get out, they want to live their lives, they want to enjoy city centers. I think San Francisco is a bit different because of all of the bad press really about the downtown area. So I don't think it's a place that people are really seeking out as much as they might be in other cities. And that means that the suburbs of the Bay Area are all that more attractive relative to the city. The livability of those areas is a draw, just like how nice they are for people to live in them. Also, the return to work. If you're an executive at one of these tech companies, you're probably going to want to be in the office, and anybody who wants to be on that trajectory is probably going to want to be in the office. So I think there is still a draw to being, where the action is if you're working in the tech sector in the Bay Area. And some people make a great amount of money and can afford these high prices, and they're going to want to buy these homes because the expense isn't that meaningful to them. Mm-hmm. On the other side, on the listing side, a lot of people who bought these homes during the pandemic or even before the pandemic were able to get record low mortgage rates when they dropped down to 3%. And those people don't want to give that up. So that has constricted inventory and also held prices up, the lack of supply. There's been a pullback in demand, but there's also been a large pullback in supply. So that's why home values haven't dropped further and why they have remained elevated in some of these more desirable neighborhoods. Given how high interest rates are, sometimes the only path forward for people who live in San Francisco who want to buy a home is to leave the area entirely and go buy somewhere else. So I think that's going to continue to make San Francisco's housing market weaker than other parts of the country.
Are there any specific areas that are benefiting still from people leaving the Bay Area and from California?
Sacramento, more than anywhere else, they're gaining Bay Area residents, and that has driven up home prices in Sacramento. So we just put out a migration report in July. Sacramento was the number 2 migration destination in the entire country, with most people coming in from San Francisco, or the San Francisco area.
It was the number 2 migration destination in the entire country? Where else?
Right after Las Vegas.
But for Las Vegas, where were people coming from?
Los Angeles.
Okay. So Las Vegas is kind of the outlet for people leaving Los Angeles, and Sacramento is the outlet for people who are leaving San Francisco.
Yes.
And both of those markets have been losing enough people that they are the number 1 and number 2 relocation markets in the country.
Yes.
Okay, got it. Is there anywhere else like that in the country where you're seeing so many people leave an area and go to another particular area that it's like really made that area a new hotspot?
New York has sent a ton of people to Florida. It's not one Florida metro in particular. It's Orlando, Tampa, Sarasota, Cape Coral, all of them really. I would think that, given return to work and declines in second homes, that Florida would be hurting right now, but they're not. People still want to move to Florida. It's still more affordable than the northeastern cities like DC, New York, Boston. So it continues to attract people despite, all the natural disaster risks that are there and the fact that prices have gone up a lot since before the pandemic. There are still so many Florida metros that are top migration destinations.
Yeah, it's really interesting to me that the change in our weather and climate change has not impacted sales on the coast, sales in Florida. Is there a sense that this is registering for buyers at all, or it's just not something that most buyers are thinking about?
I believe that they will start registering it when it shows up in their insurance bills. I just put out a report on Forbes this week about how insurance quotes went up 20% from last year, and they went up 35% in Florida. So I think when people start to financially see the costs of living in a place that has more risk, they're going to make different decisions, because ultimately the thing that's top of mind for people is affordability more than long-term risks like natural disasters.
So it's got to hit you in your pocketbook,
Right.
not so much the wave that's crashing down your door.
Yeah. Yeah.